What is going on, my homies? It has been a while since we've done a garage talk, so I figured we'd jump into one, and it's kind of perfect timing. I got some new lures. I got some grass stuff. I got some spinnerbait stuff, a little throwback deal that you're gonna want to see, and I got a really cool topwater. All baits that kind of fit in for fall. But before we get started, hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure to go check out Monster Bass. They support the channel and help you to get some of this fishing content, and I appreciate them. They're cool dudes too. Go check out the live I did with Rick actually the other day. It was pretty badass, dude. But let's jump right into it. So the first one I'm going to show you is kind of a unique one. It's pretty neat. It's actually a Thunderhawk lures. You guys have seen me use the silent traps. They have I think it's called the Sergeant. It's a lipless lure that doesn't have any kind of BBs in it. Kill them on it on Lake Guntersville, dude. Anywhere you get like a high pressure trap bite, absolutely sick. So they got this Papa Walker. It's a little different kind of bait, and interestingly enough, it comes in at 6 inches, but in my eyes, it's actually a fairly subtle bait. Let me show it to you. So in the packaging, it comes just like this. It almost looks kind of like a big spook, but what's really unique about it is it has that soft kind of plastic fluke style tail. You can see it right in there. That's actually, it comes with a replacement tail, and then it has one attached. What it does is it attaches through those screws right there. They're just kind of like a screw-in attachment or something along those lines. Kind of hard to see, but basically that tail screws right in, and you get kind of a soft walk the dog back and forth kind of style tail, which is pretty sweet. Bait is pretty girthy, you can see. It is pretty wide, but what's interesting, and this is kind of what blew my mind, is I was expecting a very aggressive action from this bait. Seeing as it's 6 inches long, it's pretty girthy. It has a fairly aggressive sort of popping lip on it. You can see it kind of cuts back in like that. It's not your flat style popper. Dude, this thing is super duper subtle. It almost fishes what I would describe like an aggressive fluke. Like it doesn't pop a whole bunch in the sense of displacing a lot of water like your standard popper. It has a slight little kind of pop and a very sort of subtle walk the dog action. It doesn't displace a ton of water. For that reason, where I've actually caught fish on it is what you wouldn't expect on super like slick kind of glass days. When there isn't that much chop on the water, that's when I find it actually performs, because I can fish it pretty quick. I'm either fishing it pretty quick or making kind of long sort of like, you know, pulsated kind of back and forth retrieves. It's definitely something that I don't think the fish have seen, and in this time of year when you get that kind of late season spook bite or topwater bite, it is very cool. It's a lot more subtle too than you would think. It's not nearly as aggressive. I love the little spinning action on it though. The next one we got, we'll actually do a throwback on this one. So if you guys are OG Gambler fans, you are gonna know what this is. This is the Ninja Spin. Absolutely classic spinnerbait from Gambler. One of the original tri-blade or more than 2 blade spinnerbaits. I'll actually get this one out for you. We had a bunch of guys asking at Gambler for it, because every time I run the Gambler free tournaments, or I'm always there to take pictures and all that kind of stuff. And there's always guys, since you can only fish Gambler products, there are always guys that have these OG like Ninja Spins, dude. And they're like the old school spinnerbaits. Like nobody can get them anymore. They would buy them off of eBay or sell them for all this money, dude. There was like a huge secondary market for it. But now they got them once again. As you can see, it has the 3 blades right here. I like that, especially in fall, because there's a lot of like smaller bait running around. So it's a perfect shad mimicker for those smaller style shad that are running around. And it's just different. It almost acts like a mini A-rig, and that's what's kind of cool too. You can throw it in a lot of that cover, throw it in places where you couldn't really get an A-rig without hanging up. The other unique part is you can see on these blades, they're a little different shape than what you normally see in a spinnerbait. So these are actually like what you call a hatchet blade. And so basically the hatchet blades they almost look like kind of like little axes, right? Now, what's cool is I actually talked to Mike Sermon and Val about this, because I was curious about the history of it. So this spinnerbait was actually developed as a grass spinnerbait, and what the concept is Sermon was telling me, is basically these hatchet blades, they counter rotate, And because of the shape of the blades and the counter rotation, it allows it to run through grass super clean. So like eelgrass, I know when we ran the Gambler Free Tournament out at Waterfront, a lot of guys talked about how clean this spinnerbait ran through the eelgrass, because there's a bunch of eelgrass in that on Lake Guntersville, and they were super stoked about how it ran so clean. So that counter rotating sort of action from that tri-blade presentation, I guess, helps it to run through the grass really clean. What I like about it, you guys have probably seen videos with me and Miles fishing, or way back in the day, I used to throw a lot of like War Eagle spinnerbaits. I love War Eagle spinnerbaits. I don't love how they kind of snap, but one of the reasons that I love War Eagle spinnerbaits is they have a little finer wire to them, and it actually leads to getting more bites. There's something with the sound that it makes, some kind of vibration. And in this case, this is a little finer wire spinnerbait. Not super fine wire hook when it comes down to it. It's kind of your standard, I'd say like a 4/0 hook, might be a hair smaller, but the wire is a little bit finer, and it really makes for a unique vibration. Comes in a bunch of different colors. I got a bunch of them because I don't know how long they're actually going to be there. So like that is what Ninja Spin Baby Bass. I think this is the Alewife color. It's kind of like a white, I don't even know what you describe it, like a white and like blue sort of flake to it or something like that. It's sort of that iridescent blue. I got a white and chartreuse, you know, standard kind of fall presentations, like if we get a little rain, a little dirty water. But I'm super stoked about it because I like the multi-blades for this time of year, because it really mimics those little pods of shad. And then especially, you know, we fish a lot of shallow grass, especially on Guntersville as the grass kind of dies. The blades will be perfect for going through that. It also goes through cover really well. Not to mention, you're going to get a different vibration from that hatchet style blade versus, you know, your willow leafs and your Colorado blades. Just like when you're throwing like a chatterbait, you know, you switch between that Strike King, what is it, the Cricket one, has a little bit different vibration, a little bit different blade on there. You're going to get the same kind of action from this. So since we're going to do some Gambler stuff, I'm going to show you my last one. And this one is one that I'm excited about, because not only is it something that I absolutely love to do, but a buddy of mine literally played like a tangential role in designing it. And that's this guy right here. This is the new Boxer Craw from Gambler. So I'm actually going to crack these open. This is one of my favorite colors. So cool story about this. Let me show it to you as we're kind of talking about it. This was my buddy Jacob Wall actually helped to design this thing. It is his sort of like jig trailer slash flipping bait that he always wanted to kind of design. It's very unique. You can see there's like a little hook keeper on there. The actual claws are like boxing gloves, thus the, you know, the boxer claw kind of concept. So we got like circle claws. And this is where it gets interesting. Jacob wanted something that was still like a swimming craw, you know, but not as aggressive as like a burner craw or like a rage craw, but not as subtle as, you guys know how much like I love a BB cricket, flipping a BB cricket, which basically has no action. It's just kind of claws, appendages that don't do anything. Maybe they vibrate a little bit. He wanted something kind of in between. And fall is a perfect kind of time for that, because you have water cooling, but it's not super cold, right? Like fish were in a fairly kind of aggressive or a high metabolic mode coming down from summer, but it's kind of cooling down and slowing down. So it's sort of that in-between time, a lot like spring is to an extent. So the action this thing actually gets is sort of like subtle. It has water displacement and kicking and all that kind of stuff, but it's not really super aggressive. This is one of my favorite colors, green pumpkin, black and blue. You cannot go wrong with this color. It's a standard. It's perfect for semi-stained to pretty clear water. Does the job, especially on Guntersville. It's a perfect color for Guntersville. Now, the reason I'm so excited about this is you guys know how much I love to flip a BB cricket. Jacob was really thinking about this more so as a jig trailer and sort of like a craw, especially in spring, for like pitching on a little lighter weight around any kind of cover you see. Lily pad there, dock there, skipping under there, and then as well as that jig trailer for like a downsized craw jig trailer. What I'm excited about it is for punching. I've already caught some pretty good ones on Guntersville on it. I'm always looking for something that's a little different. And what's cool with this is because the body is a little bit thicker, I'd say it's a little bit thinner than like a burner craw body, but definitely thicker than my BB cricket body. So because of that, it's basically gonna hold my flipping hook a lot better. So a lot of times I'll have that hook slip out of my BB Cricket, and it gets a little frustrating because the hook will pop out all the time, especially when you're flipping in some of that super thick stuff. This solves that. Because it has a little more body to it. But what's cool is I'm not sacrificing a more subtle or downsized presentation. I'll put links to all this stuff though down in the description box if you guys want to check it out. Just absolute classics. You know, the Ninja Spin, kind of a throwback. New craw designed by my boy Jacob Wall. And then this guy is super unique. I'm really actually into this. I like kind of funky top waters that have a unique action to them. And in this Popple Walker, definitely, it's more subtle than you think, even though it's kind of big. It reminds me a little bit of a glide bait that stays on top. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys are catching fish in fall. Check us out. Again, we will be back out on the water, maybe doing another garage talk, but always talking fishing. Tight lines, boys.